Would you like to know more?
Welcome to Whatmaster Podcast, episode 26 of Adventures in 3D Printing. Slightly different episode today. Going to be talking straight to camera. Never done this before. Not sure how it's going to work. I've got to try and look at the camera, which is a bit unusual. I'm going to be talking about the difference between paid STLs and free STLs, and which way should you go as a new 3D printing user, whatever we call ourselves, hobbyist, a 3D printing hobbyist. So, first thing you're going to do, guaranteed, is you're going to go on Thingiverse and you're going to see millions of STLs, millions of them, and you're going to go, oh my god, look at all these STLs. Okay, Thingiverse is brilliant. I'm not going to knock it. There are massive ranges of things to print, and there are more added daily. Blindingly large numbers of choices. However, that doesn't mean that everything exists. There is nothing more annoying than 80% of a range existing, or 70%, or even 50% of a range. If you want to print an army, you want to print an army, not half an army. There is very variable quality, both in level of detail, so how much time has gone into and how many polygons, etc. You know, the difference between a sculpt that takes an hour and a sculpt that takes 40 hours. You can see the difference, trust me. And also the design of the sculpts. Some sculpts seem almost impossible to support properly. I've tried for hours to get them to work, changing orientations and auto supporting, then trying to get in, and it's just impossible. Most of this is down to the fact that, understandably, most of the stuff sculpted on Thingiverse is not sculpted commercially. These are people, hobbyists, playing at sculpting, for want of a better word. That's not a slight on them. Thank you for doing it, but obviously somebody who's doing it for a living is going to be doing it at a higher level with more quality. It's just fact. And some of these sculpts, even after slicing, potentially won't work. So you won't be able to know. You just print it, you slice it. Sorry, you load the STL into whatever, Chitterbox or whatever, or Lychee or whatever you're using. You slice it, you print it, it won't work. And then you print it again, it won't work. And it may be that the actual STL file's faulty. It happens. Learning how to support stuff while dealing with variable sculpts can be hard. If you look at, for example, a Forest Dragon sculpt and how it's supported, you will see that clever miniature design will lead to minimal support. And the opposite can be true of free STLs. Bad design of miniatures can lead to horrifically difficult supports. Like, I'm printing some Tyranid warriors at the moment, and I'm having to support them myself because there's no supported versions available for Paul, and they are a pain in the arse with supports everywhere. And I've tried for many hours to try and orientate them properly and support them properly, but it just can't be done. I've done the best I can do. They're still not great, but I get them off now. It just takes a hell of a lot of cleaning up the miniatures afterwards. Okay, all of these things lead to more failed prints, lead to more draining of your vat and filtering of the resin, and more FEP cleaning, more consumable costs for cleaning up stuff like gloves, IPA. I can't believe how much kitchen towel I go through. I go through like, I don't know, 2 or 3 a week. But it's just the way it is. More life of the consumable parts of your machine wasted. If you print something 6 times to get one miniature or one set of miniatures off, you've used 6 times as much of your consumable parts, your lights, your screens, as you needed to, your FEP, whatever. If it worked first time, you've only used 1/6. If it takes you 6 minutes, you've used 6 times as much. And also, the biggest killer is loss of your time, because time isn't free. Even in COVID land, time isn't free. And the fact that stuff from Thingiverse eats more time, eats more time, is a consideration. This isn't like normal printing where you just send it to the printer and it prints out. This is involved. You have to get the file, you have to play with the files, potentially build support, slice the file, and then you print the file. You have to get it off the print bed, you have to clean it, you have to cure it, you have to get all the supports off. Yeah, It's a hobby. It's a hobby. So anyway, paid for stuff like Cromarty Forge, Forest Dragon come pre-supported. They come test printed. They have full ranges available, which is a big deal. If I want to print something, I want an army. I don't want half an army. They're good value. I mean, generally speaking, I don't think they're more than about £5 a unit, which is what I think is a fair amount. You can't be expecting people to pay £20-30 a unit and then have to print them. That's crazy. And help and advice from both the sculptor and the community is available, because this is what these people do for a living. Pay Cromarty Forge through the Centimetre Warriors and Forest Dragon through their Patreon. This is what they do. So they're there. They're dealing with this every day. They're sculpting every day. They're printing every day. And there's a community built up around them to talk to as well. So the overall, what I'm trying to get across today is, if you're new to 3D printing, please try and resist the urge to go for the free stuff first. It's a much tougher way to learn both your machine and your resin. I've tried 3 different resins. They're all different. They've all brought their own issues. The grey ABS, Elegoo ABS I've only got to print successfully a few times, and I find it much more difficult to deal with. You will have more fails if you're using Thingiverse. There are way less advice available. I mean, it's like the Wild West. And the files you printed may be no good. It's just the way it is. There may be no way to make them work, or no way to make them work as a novice. So what I'd suggest is pay a little bit, get yourself some proper files to print with. So get some from Cromarty Forge, or subscribe a month to Forest Dragon, and get yourself some decent files to play with. The hobby is hard enough to learn, so make it easier on yourself to start with, and get yourself some paid files. You've already spent several hundred on the machine and set up. What's another £10? Okay. So hopefully this is the first of a few of these kind of talking to camera videos. It's something I've never done before. Find it a little bit strange. Look at the little dot. We'll see how zombie-like I look. If it looks all right, maybe I'll do another one. Okay. See you next time.